You know, it's kind of funny because I feel like lately the battle between Microsoft and Sony is really kind of heating up to where we haven't seen it for many, many years. A lot of people were thinking maybe the console wars were over, or maybe that Microsoft and Sony were kind of being nice or playing nice with each other. And so now we understand that that's all just nonsense, right? That's all just behind closed doors speak. So it's easy to see why people can like cheer for one company or another company, and I hate to really be negative about it, right? Because I think Sony does good games, but I wish they would just shut up and put out their good games, right? It's like that whole victim thing that they're pulling just doesn't really work on me, especially given as the first place gaming company. I don't understand how they have the balls to come out and kind of complain about anything that Microsoft would do. Certainly, if Sony could go out there and compete at the level that Microsoft does and afford, those publishing studios and things, they would do it. Obviously, clearly they would, but just as a company, they don't have that type of backing. Like, I don't hear anybody, really sticking up for Sega, going, oh, well, maybe, Sony drove Sega out. Right? I mean, Sony was a big contributing factor to that. So, when we see stuff like this, it's just so funny to see how one-sided it is. And I understand the internet is full of PlayStation fans, right? Like, it's no doubt. It's like Dallas Cowboy fans. They're everywhere. Even though, Dallas, you would figure that would be kind of pretty subjective to people living in Dallas or whatever. But, a lot of people claim to be Cowboys fans. It's, however it is. And same thing with, like, the Patriots for years. When they were winning Super Bowls, suddenly people in every state was a Patriots fan. Not me, of course. Can't stand the Patriots or the Cowboys. But, I stick to my team no matter what. But at the same time, it's like people will kind of jump around to whatever's popular. So, it's just one of those things that kind of bugs me. But Microsoft is fighting back. Microsoft is doing more than ever to attract gamers, and I love the fact that that's exactly what they continue to do, and they do it better than they ever have. Now, we're still getting tons of great announcements by Microsoft regardless in this fight for the console. And I keep saying this, right? Like, and I know, like, I want to see Microsoft sell a lot of Xboxes, and I want to see consoles survive and thrive. But also, it's super interesting to me because at this particular point, they are both surviving but they're also both moving in other directions as well. Both doing PC, both doing mobile, both probably like cloud stuff. I personally hate cloud stuff and don't want to see that succeed in any way, but it's just what's happening because once you're at this point, this stagnated point with a certain amount of people that are buying your console, you have to go and branch out to attract other people. Will that work? I kind of doubt it, but they're still going to do it anyway. But let's go ahead and get into it. Hey everybody, I'm Crab Gamer. This is Crab Gamer Reviews, back with another video. Please leave a like on the video. It really helps it to be seen and it helps the channel to grow. So yeah, really do appreciate that. With that being said, I'm trying to get 100 likes on each of the videos that I do, which is a very small goal, but a goal that I'm trying to reach nonetheless. So yeah, it would be cool if you guys could help me out just a little bit. Now, so we know that there's all that drama going on and stuff like that, but Microsoft also released an update for the Xbox Series S and the Xbox Series X. It's fixing some things and it's got some other features as well, so I thought it'd be a good time to kind of talk about this because Microsoft doesn't rest on their laurels. They're always doing these updates that do a lot of cool stuff. Key features to the updates include the ability for players to control their TV volume within the audio and music selection of the Xbox Guide, and the choice to mute all startup sounds. It also introduced an improved setup screens to choose and change your home Xbox. Making console your home Xbox gives friends and family access to your games and content when you're not signed in, according to Microsoft in their Wire post. Your home Xbox also lets you play digital games offline. We're adding some new setup screens to make it easier for you to select and to change your home console when you set up your new Xbox. Today's update also includes a firmware update featuring bug fixes for the USB flight sticks that connect to the adaptive controller and additional bug fixes for various Xbox pads. Other updates include changes to the names of different Xbox power modes. Standby is now sleep, and energy saver is now shutdown energy saving, as well as Xbox passkey and guest key, which have been renamed pin and guest pin respectively. Xbox September update included a full library revamp as well and new storage to default install options to Xbox consoles, as well as other features. So Microsoft has a lot of cool stuff going on sort of in the background that makes it a lot of fun. And I like the fact that they continue adding these things. So Xbox Series X and S consoles can now use an HDMI feature called Consumer Electronics Control and send command to and from CEC cable devices such as TVs that are connected, and they're enabled a new feature connected to TVs over HDMI. You can now change the TV volume, like I was saying, within the audio music selection of the guide, which is pretty cool. And I'm going to link this so you guys can check that out and let me know what you think. They're adding a fan request feature so that you have the option to choose silent startup experience. Now you'll be able to customize your settings so that you can mute all sounds when you start your Xbox, and they go into details on how to fix that up as well, which I think is a very, very good point as well. So again, like, I game share as well with my brother. What a lucky SOB, right? Access to over 1,200 games. But with that being said, I think that is, you know, how it's going to be okay. You know, and look, I'm looking forward to seeing the things that we see in the future as well. You know, for me, I love the fact that these consoles constantly evolve. It's so hard. You know, I know I'm the old guy, the dinosaur or whatever, but it's so cool to see, you know, these features come out and these consoles continuously evolve, you know, past what they are when we get them, and so much past what they are. You know, I mean, this was just, you know, not even 2 years ago we got these consoles, and they're already, you know, in particular Xbox, so much better and more fluid than, you know, when we first got them. So I'm super thankful for that, and I think that it's awesome that they're able to kind of get all these things up and running the way that they have, because it really just goes to show that they're on top of it and they pay attention to, you know, what the fans want and things like that. So I always say that is the key to this kind of stuff. You know, it's the key to, you know, gaming, and the key to fans being excited about the future of this stuff. It comes down to what they offer and how they listen to the fans. You know, and I think that that's going to be an important part of things going forward as well. You know, you got to make sure to constantly evolve your platform, and so that's the part that I'm at right now. And I hope that they continue to do that. You know, game on between Microsoft and Sony, as far as I'm as far as I'm concerned. Now, listen, growing up, and it's so funny because I'm a Ravens fan, but when I was a little kid, you know, I didn't know any better. Like, the first thing I did when I was, like, you know, 4 years old, my dad was reading the paper, and I went up to him and I saw these football helmets on the sports page, like, clashing, and then, you know, with the matchups, and I started to ask him about football, and, you know, I asked him what his team was, and he, you know, I'm little at this time, so I don't understand the whole aspect of, you know, your team leaving in the middle of the night, which is what the Colts did, but he was explaining that, you know, he liked the Colts and the horseshoe logo and that kind of stuff. So from a very young age, I was a Colts fan until Baltimore got a team back, but I cheered for the Colts, and in 1993, Jim Harbaugh was the quarter, and he played ugly, but man, Captain Comeback. I don't know if any of you guys are old enough to remember this, but one of the most exciting times of my life. I mean, they went in, they barely made the playoffs that year, 9-7, go into San Diego, beat San Diego on the wild card, go into Kansas City, beat Kansas City, who had the best record, 10-7. Then they go into Pittsburgh and they lose. But realistically, that loss was why we now have instant replay, because on 3rd and goal, right before the half, a player, Cordell Stewart for the Steelers, ran out of the back of the end zone, came back in and caught a touchdown, which should have been a loss of down, and they would have had to kick a field goal, and then it would have been just tied instead of the Steelers winning by 4. And then at the end, I think the Colts had enough time to maneuver into field goal range, and probably could have, well, I felt like they were the better team. They would have beat Dallas that year in the Super Bowl, but that's neither here nor there. But that's what Microsoft reminds me of. But Jim Harbaugh, I'm a big fan, and I remember them interviewing him about going into Kansas City. I think Kansas City had only lost like 2 or 3 games that year, and how they were going to crush. They were talking about how they were going to crush him, and he looked in the camera and he's like, "Bring it on." I think that's Microsoft's mentality. I know it's weird for a trillion-dollar company to be the underdog, but I think in gaming they certainly are the underdog, and I like seeing them fight back and not just sit there and take it. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like, subscribe. Crap Gamer out.